I am going to be the cop that stops it. End of this. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to hunt you down. Had enough. It's going to stop. I'm coming for you. I'm coming. Smear stops here. Up your nose.
Oh, no, not again.
She's a human! She had 2 kids. Her husband turned out to be a user, a cheater.
Certainly not in the orifices of the nose.
Up your nose.
There's the anus.
This is huge.
Hell no!
Oh, damn. It's on. It's the Young Turks. I've done my drug of choice. So we might have a wild show. I need you to buckle up, okay? Now, you might be wondering what my drug of choice is. Well, it's caffeine. And I get quite a buzz off of it. And if I do it too close to showtime, watch out. We're going to talk about drugs in a second. But pot doesn't do half of what caffeine does to me. So, all right, we're going to have fun. Later in the program, we will explain to you how politics works. That's TYT 101, okay? And we're going to really, on 3 different issues, delve into it and tell you what the reality is. We already have the answer for immigration reform. What will be the answer? You watch the Young Turks, you're going to find out today. People are still going to be talking about it years later. Oh, which way is it going to go? You're going to find out today. And I guarantee you that's how it'll turn out, okay? We're professionals. Look it up in a book, okay? So we'll do that and then we'll have fun. A guy gets arrested and might serve 5 years in prison for calling a politician a potato. It's a real story. We'll bring it to you a little bit later in this hour. Now, before we do anything else, let me give you a quick update on something that you should be attending in January. Whether you're in New Hampshire or not, you need to get to New Hampshire. January 11th to January 24th, okay? Professor Larry Lessig is leading a walk across the state of New Hampshire. Because it wasn't cold enough outside, yes, they're going to walk the entire state of New Hampshire. But it's not they, it's we. I will also be going. I'm going to tell you a little bit later when I'll be attending the march after we finalize it. But 11th is, of course, unfortunately, the anniversary of Aaron Swartz's death. That's when the walk is going to start. The 24th is the anniversary of Granny D's birth. If you don't know Granny D, she was a great champion for campaign finance reform, and she walked all the way across the country for it. So I love this idea. They're doing it in New Hampshire because that's where the presidential primaries are, and for 3 years they're going to walk across New Hampshire, not all 3 years, 3 times in January, so that when the presidential aspirants go there. Aspirants? I think that's what we're going to go with. Okay, people who are aspiring to be president. So the good people in New Hampshire ask them over and over again, what are you going to do about campaign finance reform? Also, we're going to pass the Wolfpack bill in New Hampshire. So everybody check that out at nhrrebellion.org. Okay? So that's fun for everybody. And I think I'll be out there all day, at least one of the days, walking with everybody. So that'll be great too. Okay, we'll tell you more about that as we get closer. Okay, now let's have fun. Let's talk about pot. Now, some commentators on TV have decided they're going to go on a rampage against pot. It is dangerous. It's for fat and lazy people. You think I'm kidding? No. Literal. That's what Nancy Grace said. Let's begin the festivities.
Do you think legalizing pot for recreational use, do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a horrible idea. And I speak not only after studying it and reading every shred of scientific and research data out there, but after seeing what it does to people on an everyday level. People would drop out of work. They would become lethargic. I mean, come on. Ask yourself, do you want your cab driver to be high on pot?
You know, listen, if you do it responsibly, you don't get behind the wheel. You do it in a private, confined space. You do it safely. No harm, no foul.
You mean a private space like your home where you're supposed to be taking care of your children, or cooking at a gas stove, or lighting a fireplace? You mean that place? Yeah, no, not a good idea.
Okay.
Look, I don't want, when I'm at work, I don't want my babysitter high on pot. All right? Does anybody? Do you want your children? Do you want your parents, your sister, your brother to be taken care of or driven around by somebody on pot because it's okay in Colorado? You know what? Colorado gets what they ask for.
I know people are screaming at the television, agreeing with you,
I'm sure.
and vehemently disagreeing with you.
Hey, look, the ones that are disagreeing are lethargic, sitting on the sofa eating chips.
Oh,
Pot.
that is a blanket statement, Nancy Grace.
There.
She proved it. Oh, science. My bad. Okay, I didn't know she was going to come in with all that evidence. See, if you disagree, I've read all the scientific facts and research papers on this. And if you disagree, you're on a couch right now, I know it. And you're fat, you're obese. I didn't know that smoking pot made you fat. I know it gave you the munchies. I didn't know it made you fat. And lazy, you are lethargic. I read all the scientific papers, and I scream on TV for a living. So I would know. Oh, you're going to do it at home. Are you crazy? You got gas stoves there. What do you think happens at gas stoves when you're smoking dope on your couch? Boom! Explosions! Obviously. The one thing she does have a good point on, if you start smoking dope, you drop out of work. Hey, Amir, can you take a shot of Jesus, our director for today? Oh, right! Jesus didn't show up to work today. Oh, that's Amir instead. I don't know. Nancy Grace has a point. These people are supposed to be the people telling you on TV what to think. Yeah, what do my TV isn't working anymore? Who listens to that and goes, oh, yeah. Fat, lazy, exploding gas stoves, children melting in the corner like, what did mommy do? Cab drivers. Do you want your cab driver smoking pot? Well, I don't want them loaded on vodka either. And both would be illegal no matter what. This goes for argument on television. All right, well, we're not done yet. Here comes Papa Bear. Bill O'Reilly's going to weigh in.
Let's begin with the left. What is it about the drug culture, the internet culture, that's so compelling for some of them?
Well, I don't think it's compelling, but I think that if you start to arrest their children and give them records and put barriers in front of their futures and their careers, I think people say, wait a second, as you said in the previous segment, this is soft drug use. Why are you arresting and giving this kid a record? Especially minority kids, disproportionately, they're the ones who get arrested.
Only dealers, Juan. There's no mass arrests of users. No, they get a ticket, Juan.
It's
almost impossible. The records are expunged if they're juveniles. You know what the game is here. It is not a crime that is actively pursued by district attorneys. All right, I'm just going to discount that argument, Juan. Mary Catherine.
I love television, man. Okay, so Juan, they just get tickets. First of all, nobody ever actually gets arrested for a pot use. Really? And what study did you see that in? Okay, now I can show you 100 studies that show you the opposite. In fact, we have over and over again on this show. I can show you over 3,000 people sitting in jail for life on nonviolent offenses, okay? And most of those were for drug offenses. And most of those were possession, okay? So now, no, you just get a ticket. He makes up stuff all the time. He's unbelievable. And then so Juan Williams got him. There's no question about it. So Juan, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss that argument. Oh, well, okay, my bad. I didn't know you were going to dismiss it. Okay, oh, well, I'll have to try again. So they try again. So now this ham lady is going to come in and try to make decent points. She's also going to be dismissed. The disdain that he shows here, like, is the woman still talking? I mean, watch for yourself, O'Reilly. You know what he did to Juan Williams was bad. Watch this.
Mary Catherine, you've got a baby. You want that baby to be smoking pot? Is it a he or a she?
Oh.
Is it a he or she?
She, and I would rather she not smoke
When that
pot.
baby is 13, 14 years old, you want the baby to be smoking pot in moderation, do you?
I would rather not have her smoking weed, and I'm not a huge fan. But look, that doesn't mean it has to be illegal, though.
Why would you not want your child? No,
Bill,
answer my questions, Mary Catherine.
I'm answering the question by saying it doesn't have to be illegal because I can step in and handle things.
So
and
I'm going to say you don't want to answer. You don't want to engage.
Damaging than paternalism in a nanny state.
Mary Catherine, you're babbling. You don't want to engage in this conversation.
I'm saying clear words and making an argument to you.
You're babbling. I'll go back to Juan. I asked Mary Catherine why she wouldn't want her 12 or 13-year-old child to use marijuana, whereupon Mary Catherine punted and started to talk about social issues in a general sense. You agree with me that a mass usage... Wait, Mary Catherine, wait.
Okay.
All right? So, Juan, you agree with me that a mass usage of a soft drug like marijuana is going to weaken the country, it's going to hurt children.
Oh, how awesomely dismissive was that? Wait, Mary Catherine, wait, you're babbling like a woman, okay? Now, and the thing is, put the woman thing aside, put the minority thing, put all that aside, okay? Basically, they got him, man. They were making perfectly good points. And that was making him mad. Could you see it? That whole, we'll do it live was like boiling up inside of him. Like, play us out. What does that mean, play us out, right? And he's like, you're babbling. Because he was babbling. That's what he does. He does projection. He had no good points. Do you want your baby to smoke pot? That was his main point. Do you want your baby to smoke pot? No, I also don't want my baby to have alcohol. But it doesn't mean I think alcohol should be illegal. I don't want my baby drinking whiskey. Okay, and at 13 or 14, I don't want him getting loaded up on rum. That doesn't mean I think that rum should be illegal or pot should be illegal. You're babbling. You're babbling. Okay, get off. Get off. Or Juan, back to you. Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on? What's going on here, Bill, is that your arguments suck. Tides go in, tides go out. I can explain that. You're the only one who can't. Do you want your baby smoking pot? Okay, God, man, that man is monumentally full of shit.
End of this.
All right, I hear you. Bill, sorry about that, okay? All this...
You're going to get it.
All right, Bill, all right, I hear you. I hear you. I'm going to get it. Papa Bear's the original goofball, man. Okay. All right, I had too much fun with that story. Let's go forward. Okay, I'm telling you, man, I'm loaded up today. Okay. Okay, now we go to this guy. Yeah, we did it again. You're paying close attention to the show. You'll notice the graphics. All right. Paul Brown is eyeing illegal aliens, so he says. And he's keeping his his eye on them. And he's not going to take it. I'll tell you that about Paul Brown. He's definitely not going to take it. So tell us all about it, Paul.
It only helps the Democrats if we legalize all these illegal aliens in this country who the Democrats want to put on federal welfare programs. And actually they are on federal welfare programs today. But the Democrats want to make them all basically dependent upon the federal government so they can continue their radical big government agenda. The only way Georgia is going to change is if we have all these illegal aliens that are here in Georgia. Give them the right to vote. And that would be, it would be morally wrong. It would be illegal to do so under our current law. Actually, all these illegal aliens are getting federal largesse and taking taxpayers' dollars. And that's the only way that this state is going to become democratic again.
What did he say the illegal aliens were getting? Let me hear that again.
All these illegal aliens are getting federal largesse, and
they're getting large ass? Okay, I don't know. I don't know if that's really the case here. But the guy does seem to be a little bit obsessed with eyeing the aliens. Okay, so look, keep it real. What Paul Brown is really concerned about is not federal largesse that they're getting, not the welfare that he's making up that they're getting, all that stuff. No, he said it right there at the end. He said, that's the only way that Georgia's going to turn Democrat. So this is all about, hey, listen, we know we can't get Latinos to vote for us because we don't like them, man. We don't want to do anything to help them. We got no interest in them. That's not what the Republican Party's about. And if we let them vote, they're going to vote Democratic. And when they vote Democratic, then I'm going to be thrown out on my large ass. Okay, and that's what Paul Brown cares most about. And he made the mistake of admitting it at the very end. The rest of it was just crap. He says, under our current law, they're not allowed to vote, so that's why they shouldn't be allowed to vote. I know, that's why we're thinking of changing the law to give them a pathway to citizenship, in which case they would be allowed to vote. Oh, right. Okay. All right. Now, I've got a much more. That was just a fun warm-up appetizer work for you guys. I've got a much bigger immigration story that I'm going to do for you right now. And this will decide it, okay? So in the midst of a story about what's coming up in the immigration debate, I saw what will be the conclusion of that debate. So that's what we get paid the small bucks for here at the Young Turks, is to do political analysis for you guys, and I'm going to explain what the conclusion of this is going to be, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, so first of all, the Republicans are motivated to do some degree of immigration reform because they've been getting their ass handed to them by the Latino vote. And so the more they seem to be against immigrants, the more Latinos vote against them. And that's why the president got about 3/4 of the Latino vote, which helped him to defeat Mitt Romney in 2012. He also got helped significantly in 2008 by that vote. And in every election, the Latinos go more Democratic because of the Republican vitriol against them. So the Republicans want to get rid of this issue and say, well, what are you talking about? We did immigration reform. Now, the reality is, though, they don't want to actually do immigration reform. They don't want more of those Latinos voting. So that's a big problem for them. So whenever you're talking about immigration reform, they say, yeah, let's build a bigger wall. But that doesn't really help them with Latinos. So, and they have a secondary problem, which is that big business actually wants those immigrants to come into the country. It's cheap labor. So big business loves that, and big business finances the Republicans. So they're motivated. Now, why are the Democrats motivated to help? Well, first of all, they said they would. I know. For politicians, that's not much of a thing at all. So, and in fact, President Obama has been saying that for 5 years, and he hasn't really done much in 5 years. I know the Republicans would fight him on it, but it would be nice to try. And so now he is trying. Let me show you part of the reason that he's trying. His approval rating among Latinos went from 80% to 55%. Ooh, that slip sliding away. Now, why did it do that? Number one, there has been no immigration reform. Number two, it's because President Obama has been breaking records on deportations. He's already deported 1.9 million people. In that 5-year span, that's much larger than what George W. Bush deported. He's breaking records. So he's not pro-immigrants. He's taking the immigrants that are already here and throwing them out at a rate greater than any Republican president. So Latinos are looking around and saying, look, I gave you the vote, and I know the Republicans don't like me, but apparently you were just kidding with me. You're throwing us out and breaking up our families at an even greater rate. So President Obama and the Democrats say, no, listen. Okay, I know we were kidding around for 5 years, but we're going to do immigration reform. Okay, so how do they break this deadlock, though? The problem is the Republicans don't want Latinos that come into the country to vote because they think they're going to vote Democratic, and the Democrats want to solve this. So Associated Press explains, some advocates of reform are beginning to rally around an idea to grant immigrants legal status in the U.S. and leave the question of citizenship out of the legislation. In other words, they can work but not vote. Well, there you have it. It's over. That's what they're going to go with, okay? Now, I'm going to show you why in a second, right? But as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. Everybody gets a little piece of what they want. The Democrats get to say, hey, listen, we helped you, and like we told you, we delivered for you, right? The Republicans get to say, yeah, okay, look, let's get past this issue, but at least they don't vote Democratic. And most importantly, the guys in charge, big business, that give to both of those parties, get cheap labor, but then they don't have to worry about those Latinos and other immigrants that came into the country actually becoming citizens, becoming one of us. I don't think so. Now, wait a minute. If the Democrats were tough, they actually wouldn't have to go with this compromise. They just say, hey, listen, we're for pathway to citizenship. Actually, a majority of the country agrees with that. It's a winning issue for us. Sad day for you if you want to vote against it. I'm going to kick your ass in every election going forward. But they're not going to say that. How do I know? Among the people who were for immigration reform is Luis Gutierrez. He's Democrat of Illinois. And he says, I don't think this is a good idea because citizenship is important. But I don't think it is a big deal breaker either. I saw that and I thought, it's over, it's over. Whenever a Democrat says, well, look, it's very important, but not a deal breaker, that means I gave up. I give up. That's the deal we're going to make, okay? I remember when President Obama said, public option is really important in healthcare, but not necessarily a deal breaker. And I said, it's over. The public option is gone. And I remember when liberals were like, oh, no, Cenk, you don't know. He said public option is really important. No, citizenship for immigrants in the country, gone. It's not going to be in the deal. If Gutierrez says it's not in the deal, one of the guys pushing hardest, it's not going to be in the deal, okay? So, well, I've got an idea about another corollary to that I'll share with you in a second. But another two reasons why this is going to be the deal that we see in the end. Being able to live and work in the U.S., they asked Latinos here legally without the threat of deportation. Well, it was more important to them, 55 to 35, than citizenship. So it polls well among the people that they're trying to reach. So it's not that citizenship isn't important to them, it is. But they're like, the most important thing is I don't want you to break up my family. I want to be able to stay here and work here. Okay, given those two choices, they say 55 to 35 in that direction. So that problem is solved. And finally, again, the people who actually make the decisions in this country are the Chamber of Commerce. So Randy Johnson from the Chamber says, this idea of doing this compromise where they get to stay, but they're not actually citizens, they're not one of us, quote, that's a seismic shift in the debate. And he says that meaning we like it, okay? That's exactly the kind of shift that we wanted. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce very much in favor of that compromise. They're also in favor of all of that cheap labor. Now, I knew that we were going to get a deal the minute the Chamber of Commerce came in and told Republicans, we're going to do immigration reform. I'll tell you who runs the Republican Party. 100% the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, big business. So now, in the end, Latinos, congratulations, and others, but mainly Latinos, of course, they make up the lion's share of the immigrants in this country that are undocumented at this point. You will get some sort of papers, and you will get to be, well, not citizens, not Americans, but our help. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we give you 3/5 citizenship? Oh, I know. That's a very offensive idea. Whereas this idea, which is the one they're going to go with, is not offensive at all. We needed cheap labor. We bring them in to be cheap labor. But they don't get to call themselves American. Come on, they're Latinos. Don't hate the messenger. That's the message. You don't believe me? Wait and see. That's exactly what they're going to pass. All right. Now, somebody was talking to me today and says, you guys look like you're in pretty good position. You guys might really make something of this show. So yeah, we made something of this show. It's kind of number one. So it's the largest online news show. So, and we didn't get that way by me bullshitting you and then being wrong and over again. Now, when I'm wrong from time to time, of course I am, and I tell you, right? But this is how we got you guys to watch, because we do this analysis. You think you're going to see that analysis on TV? You think you're going to see a pundit break that down and then say, yeah, it's over. That's what they're going to do, and then tell you what the reality of that deal is? All right, keep watching. What you're going to run into is Nancy Grace and Bill O'Reilly. That's what you're going to run into. All right, let's move on. Now, the next one is also something you see all over the media, and it drives me crazy. Now, it's a big statement to call something the dumbest talking point ever, but it's driving me crazy, and I think it's earned it. So what is it? Well, let's break it down into two sections. First of all, Bob Corker is going to start the festivities, and he's actually going to use the oldest, dumbest talking point ever. Now, let me explain what this is in context for. Now, they're talking about unemployment extension and should they extend the benefits or not. Now, that's an interesting topic, and we've debated that on the show before, but in the midst of that debate, Bob Corker says, oh, the Democrats aren't doing this to actually extend unemployment. He says, quote, I think everyone understands this first phase is nothing but a political act. Okay, Bob, I'm so tired of that. The oldest, dumbest political talking point is, oh, the Democrats or Republicans are just playing politics with this. But of course they are. You know why? Because they're politicians. That's what they do. That's what they get paid to do. And Bob Corker, you're a senator from Tennessee. I got news for you. You're also playing politics with it. And I don't blame you. That's what you are. So please spare me that nonsense. But that's not what I'm referring to in specific here. He's talking about playing politics because he's saying that this is not about extending unemployment benefits. So Huffington Post explains in this instance. They say other Republicans, including Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, have said Democrats are only trying to distract from the president's rocky rollout of the health care law. Oh, for Christ's sake. Now, this is the 18th time I've seen this. What is the president supposed to do? I had a rocky rollout of the health care law. I'm going to suspend all other policies. I want the whole country to focus on this for time immemorial, okay? I'll be taking the next 3 years off, everybody. Let's just focus on that rocky rollout, okay? He has an agenda. Of course he's going to go on with his agenda. Now, every time he brings up something else, yeah, minimum wage, trying to distract from that rocky rollout. And then they print this stuff, and I'm not blaming Huffington Post in this case, but every article takes it seriously, like, oh, the Republicans made an interesting point. Oh, the president is trying to, they say the president is trying to distract. Well, if you're the president, what are you just supposed to say? Okay, I sit on my hands. Okay, yeah, we had a bad rollout on the healthcare law. Yeah. Okay, well, I'd love to do something about Afghanistan and figure out an exit. Oh, I don't want to distract from the healthcare thing. That was a debacle. I don't want to distract from it. No, of course you have to go on. This is so stupid. And it's so ironic because every time the Republicans say that, what they're trying to do is distract from whatever that issue is. And now they've used it on over a dozen issues. They're trying to distract you from extending unemployment benefits and get you to talk about President Obamacare rollout, which they claim is rocky. It's a way of changing the topic. Oh, we didn't extend unemployment benefits. We look like assholes. But the president is trying to distract you to over there. Look, Obamacare. I literally do this with my 3-year-old. If I don't want him to look at something, I go, oh, look, a bird. Right? Oh, unemployment, we look heartless because we're not extending the benefits. Look, Obamacare rollout. Okay. Now, thank God Gene Sperling actually fought back against this. He's the top White House economic advisor. And he's had a good suggestion for them. He said, look, if anybody suggests that somehow we want to fight for the minimum wage or extending emergency unemployment for political reasons, as opposed to it being the right thing to do, I have a really good solution. Let's get them done right now in a bipartisan way. I love that. Oh, you don't want me talking about extending unemployment benefits? Great. Let's shake on it. Unemployment benefits extended? Great. Let's talk about Obamacare rollout. Come on. I'll give you a whole day. I'll give you a week to talk about it. Just do the deal. It appears that, ironically, maybe Bob Corker and his friends might be playing politics. Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. All right, guys, can I get us on the monitor? Let me read you a hashtag TRT Live. Nobody you know writes in, one should dress appropriately when sworn in. He should have worn a metal colander. Save plastic for the weekend. Good about the Kasparian.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Very fair,
yes.
Very fair. Okay. Nobody you know? I don't know you. Okay. Okay. We move forward. We got a lot of great stories for you. Rodman, go.
Yes, update on the Rodman story, which I absolutely love. Dennis Rodman has been in North Korea. He's planning on playing basketball with North Korea's National League on Wednesday, and this is all part of Kim Jong-un's birthday celebration, his birthday extravaganza. And recently, Rodman decided to talk to CNN, Chris Cuomo to be specific, about his reasons for being in North Korea, and he was rolling deep, okay? He had a number of basketball players or former basketball players with him, and the interview got a little uncomfortable after Cuomo asked about Kenneth Bae. Now, Kenneth Bae was captured in North Korea. He's been detained, and originally Rodman said that he was going to help set him free, but that didn't really end up happening. Take a look.
You do have a relationship with this man. You've said it many times. We've seen it demonstrated for whatever reason.
Yes.
Are you going to take an opportunity, if you get it,
Right.
to speak up for the family of Kenneth Bae and to say, let us know why this man is being held, that this is wrong, that he is sick? If you can help Dennis, will you take the opportunity?
Watch this. The one thing about politics, Kenneth Bae did one thing. If you understand, I got it. If you understand what Kenneth Bae did,
yeah.
Do you understand what he did?
What did he do? You
in
tell
this
me.
Country.
You tell me. What did he do?
No. You tell me. You tell me. Why is he held captive?
They haven't released any charges.
Dude, he's now officially defending Kim Jong-un's positions.
It's insane.
He's captured an American citizen and won't let him go. Look, what did Kenneth Bae do inside North Korea? I have no idea, right? But for Dennis Rodman to go on national TV and to defend Un like that, and by the way, okay, what did Kenneth Bae? You're the one saying, if you knew what he did inside this country, okay, official North Korea spokesperson, tell us what he did.
Yeah,
right?
He has no idea what he's talking about. But I will say this, and this isn't meant to defend him, but he is in North Korea as this interview is taking place. So is he going to be critical of the North Korean government while he's there? I mean, I think that it would be a little risky to do that. So I don't know if he feels pressured.
Well, then don't bring your weak ass
Don't go to
into
North
the
Korea in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't put yourself in that position where you're going to be forced to, if he is forced, I'm not even convinced that that's the case, to defend someone who is brutal to his people. So no respect at all. And his answer was ridiculous.
Look, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. Look, we're making apologies for this guy. I mean, everybody's talking about but look, and even Jesse Jackson was like, well, I'm glad he went, and he's opening up a line of communication. Going? But you need to send someone that has like two brain cells that could run together so they can make. Actually, Charles Smith shined in this. They had him leading this whole thing that Rodman couldn't help himself. He jumped in to do his demonic. Doesn't his voice sound like he was possessed? Like, oh, Chris, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm telling you about Kenneth Bae.
Does he do that on purpose, or is that just his voice?
That's his voice. Whatever, right? Oh, because he's smoking a lot. I don't know. Anyway, Charles Smith, who most basketball fans know as a loser, actually did a good job of being eloquent about this, saying, look, we don't want this to be about politics. That's a fine answer, right? That you can give that answer. I can't believe all these guys went there. Vin Baker, Kenny Anderson. These guys were like my entire fantasy basketball team lineup the one year that I played. Anyway.
Yeah, let's not devolve into a conversation about that.
So
there's more. Can we?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go to the second video, and then Jake will continue to rant.
Got 10 guys, all these guys here. Do anyone understand that?
We do, and we appreciate that, and we wish them well with cultural exchange.
No. I'm just saying, I don't give a I don't give a rat's ass what the hell you think. I'm saying to you, look at these guys here. Look at them.
Yeah, but Dennis, don't put it on them. Don't use them as an excuse for the behavior that you're putting on yourself.
Really, I'm gonna tell you one thing. People around the world, I'm gonna do one thing. You guy behind the mic right now, we are the guys here doing one thing. We have to go back to America and take the abuse. Do you have to take the abuse? Well, we're going to take it. Do you, sir? Let me know. Are you going to take that abuse? We're going to get it. But guess what, though? One day, this door is going to open.
What?
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
He's out in outer space, man. He sounds like a third world dictator. Like, I got a little vibe from him, like, he's holding the cigar. He's like, I'll tell you something. And ironically, the other guys looked like they were in a hostage video.
Yes, they did. In fact, there was one guy that really caught my attention. Let's go to the third video. If you take a look at the guy in the purple, he looks like he's really worried. He's really worried about what's about to go down.
So how about the guy on the right? All of them, they're kind of like leaning away from him, like, dude, you all right, man? You all right?
Yeah,
look at Charles Smith, like, let me step in, dog. Let me just handle this for a second. Let me handle it, okay? And the guys in the back are like, right? So, no, he's a disaster, man. I know that they're doing this for publicity, and like I said, one day maybe Rodman, what he's saying is we're taking the abuse, but one day you're going to find out we're CIA, and they're going to make a movie about us, and we're all going to be stars. That's the best possible scenario. And maybe that's what he's saying, and I hope that's what he's saying, right? Otherwise, he sounds like an absolute madman, and I feel so bad for the other guys there.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate, because if Kim Jong-un was a fan of a more intelligent basketball player, well, maybe there would be an opportunity for actual conversations between the United States and North Korea, right? But there's no chance for diplomacy if Rodman is the person who's representing the United States.
I mean, so look, I mean, he was also a fan of Michael Jordan. When they asked Michael Jordan, would you like to go to North Korea, his answer was, why would he go to North Korea?
Yeah.
The reason Dennis Rodman is going is because he's a clown, and that's the kind of attention that he loves. Look, for the 18th time, I hope to God we find out one day he was undercover spy for us and did something important and relevant in North Korea. But until then, this was a grade A disaster, because all it does is celebrate the birthday of a brutal dictator who now apparently not only killed his uncle, but might have also killed his aunt, let alone the hundreds of thousands of people he's keeping in prison camps. And it validates Kim Jong-un for no reason. And he's sitting there yelling at Chris Cuomo for asking perfectly reasonable questions.
Yeah. Why would you even go on the program if you're not going to be willing to answer very, I guess, predictable questions? I mean,
and if they are undercover, the CIA's got to be going like, oh, what have we done? What have we done? Why didn't we just send Charles Smith? Yeah. We know he can't score, but at least he could have grabbed a board or something. Well, you can say that about Rodman, too. All right.
Michael Bay was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and he was supposed to talk about a new Samsung TV. He went up on stage, and it didn't really work out for him. Take a look.
My job as a director is I get to dream for a living. And Hollywood is a place that creates a viewer escape. And what I try to do is, as a director, I try to... the type is all off, sorry, but I'll just wing this.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'll wing it right now. I try to take people on an emotional ride. And...
The Curve? How do you think it's going to impact how viewers experience your movies?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us.
Oh, that was an epic disaster. That was painful to look at, dude.
My favorite part was that other dude, and he's like, all right, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us and saying dick.
Yeah, look, you got to understand something. This is CES. It's a big, big deal, okay? This is where everybody's going, right? And they got Michael Bay to introduce their new Samsung TV. It's a giant deal for them, and he's so excited. And they got the script worked out, and it's on the teleprompters, and they're going to go back and forth, and it's going to be great. And then this meltdown happens. Meanwhile, in his head, the Samsung guy's thinking, right? Okay, but like externally, he's like, all right, thank you. Round of applause for Michael Bay. And they did, like the crowd, I saw the rest of the video, they're like,
he told us nothing. Okay. No, but that just shows you, I mean, it's kind of incredible how difficult it is for such big name public figures to just speak off the cuff. Just be human. You were asked to talk about your movies. That's what you do for a living. You should have a relatively easy time talking about that particular topic, right?
These guys are so produced, right?
Yeah.
The guys on TV, like prompter, produce, like they don't have a mind of their... Now, Michael Bay's not a professional in that sense. He's not an anchor, right? He's a director, producer, etc. But his movies are so tightly produced, rightly or wrongly, right? And so when things go off script, like they don't know what to do. They're like, my movies, I don't know anything about my movies. The prompter was going to tell me about my movies. Okay? And I liked how the guy was like, we could talk about the curve of the TV. Meanwhile, Michael Bay's thinking, God. I'm not the curve of the TV. You crazy? I can't even tell you a single thing about my movie.
Yeah, the panic that set in was just way too much for him to bear, and like you feel really bad for him in that moment as well. Like you don't want to be in that situation. Public speaking is a difficult thing to do for a lot of people, so having that teleprompter there is a safety blanket. You know, it kind of protects you from making a fool out of yourself, but it could also go very, very wrong.
It did, and look, I actually liked his apology a lot.
Yeah,
right?
Let me read it to you.
Because I was worried that he was going to fly into a rage, that he was going to come back and be like, and have that. He's like, that prompter guy is never going to work in like a 3-state area, okay?
Yeah.
But it seems like his apology was pretty good.
His apology was pretty good, but we should also note that we did obtain footage of him backstage, and we kind of saw what his reaction was to the people that were running the teleprompter. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, I can't read it. There's no words on it.
Huh. Michael Bay seems to have gone back in time a little bit.
Oh, it's just a little bit. He looks a little different, but he's younger, so.
Okay, well, let's see if we've got more of that.
Yeah.
Sure. There's no words there. To play us out. What does that mean? To play us out.
I think Michael Bay might have reacted better. More.
Fucking thing sucks.
At least he didn't do that. Okay, I think that this was the backstage that you were referring to. Well, Anna, you're going to be surprised. You didn't know this part, but we also actually have footage of Michael Bay practicing with the teleprompter ahead of time. Let's watch that.
You stay classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Actually, and somebody was messing with him during the practices too.
Oh,
and then this happened.
I remember that. And I'm Ron Burgundy. Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
You know, the sad thing is, I think Burgundy and O'Reilly actually handled it better than Michael Bay did.
Totally. I feel bad. But okay, let's get to Michael Bay's apology. You know, you feel really bad for him, especially after you read this. He says, wow, I just embarrassed myself at CES. I was about to speak for Samsung for this awesome curved 105-inch UHD TV. I rarely lend my name to any products, but this one is just stellar. I got so excited to talk that I skipped over the exec VP's intro line, and then the teleprompter just got lost. Then the prompter went up and down, then I walked off. I guess live shows aren't my thing.
Yeah, no, look, there he's got to plug the thing like he was supposed to. So he mentions the grade XYZ TV, whatever that thing was. Play us out. What does that mean? Okay. But then he's like, look, man, I guess live things isn't my thing. I'm sorry. That was, I blew that. So, I hear you.
How much you want to bet he didn't write that policy?
Yeah, but it came up pretty quickly. If it was his PR folks, they made it sound genuine, and they did a good job of getting it up quickly. So I'll give him that, right? Like if he actually fired every teleprompter in Nevada, then okay. Then if we get that update, we'll share it with you. But for now, we just feel bad for the guy. I mean, he did say,
oh my God, I am totally sorry for that.
Some chance I've overplayed that.
A little bit.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. Forward.
All right. Former Cosmo editor Leah Hardy is raising awareness about an issue that she dealt with when she was working at Cosmopolitan, and it's editing and photoshopping very, very thin and sickly models to make them look like they're healthy. So there are a few examples that we can show you. Sometimes models are so incredibly malnourished that their hair is thinning, their ribs are showing, their collarbones are obviously sticking out. And as a result, what the editors will do is they will Photoshop the ribs out, or they'll Photoshop to make the collarbone look softer or the hair fuller to make it seem as though they're they're healthy, but they will also add breasts and a bottom to the model to make it seem like they're proportional and normal, which is so unbelievably ironic considering the fact that the fashion industry usually pressures these women to be malnourished in the first place.
So I feel a little redeemed by this, to be honest with you. Okay.
I'm glad that that's what you took away from the story.
Yes, I did. Because I talked about how the models were unnaturally skinny, and it turns out even the fashion industry thinks they're unnaturally skinny. And so let's put up the pictures, and I want to show you the before and after, right?
Okay, so the before is the picture that you see on the left, and of course it's Cameron Diaz. And they actually edited out her, I forget what that muscle is called. Oblique, right?
Nailed it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that bony thing on her hip.
It's not bony, it's muscle.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Good for her. Anyway, but apparently that was not considered sexy enough. And so this is the really interesting one,
Yeah,
right?
that's the one that really
because
stood out to
the
me.
one on the left looks like she has significant health issues. Like somebody's kept her away from food. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to say anything further, but you understand where I'm going.
It's just not healthy. She doesn't look healthy in that image. And
right, that's not sexy. That's like you want to check her into a hospital.
Yeah,
right?
and then they of course Photoshop it to make it seem as though her chest is, not as bony and her ribs are not protruding like that. And look, some people might make the argument that, hey, you know what, this is good. They want to share a healthy image of women. Like, it's good to have a little more meat on your bones. But no, that's not what's happening. Oftentimes what happens is they refuse to Photoshop the waist. The waist remains very, very small. And then they'll add breasts to the image and make it seem as though she's normal and healthy and proportional. A lot of times these models are so malnourished that their skin is not in good condition, right? It's blotchy and it looks like they're dehydrated or something. And they have to Photoshop that as well. In fact, Leah Hardy talks about it in detail. I want to read you her quote. She says, "Thanks to retouching, our readers never saw the horrible, hungry downside of skinny, that these underweight girls didn't look glamorous in the flesh. Their skeletal bodies, dull, thinning hair, spots and dark circles under their eyes were magicked away by technology, leaving only the allure of coltish limbs and Bambi eyes."
So now, I really loved what Robin Derrick said. He's the creative director of Vogue, because a lot of people now have chimed in on this. And he said, I spent the first 10 years of my career making girls look thinner, and the last 10 making them look larger. So there was all this pressure, get thinner, oh, you're not thin enough, we got to Photoshop it, right? Then they got so damn thin because of the pressure that they're like, oh, we got to Photoshop them to make them look larger. But really the thing that you pinpointed there, Anna, is the most important part. Is that it's unnatural. If they just showed them in either way as they are, that would be one thing. But they keep the hip size and then add meat to their bones, right? Which is not possible.
They add meat to the areas of the female's body that it's considered the most desirable, right? So she's got, a backside, she has full breasts, but somehow she has like a 20-inch waist. It's not normal. You don't see bodies like that. And then it it convinces women that that type of body image is achievable as long as you stop eating and as long as you live an unhealthy lifestyle where you're malnourished. And so I like the fact that she's coming out and she's talking about what's really happening in the beauty industry. We already know that models are pressured to be extremely skinny, and we know that photoshopping takes place. But now we know that it also takes place to hide the fact that some of these models are extremely unhealthy.
Robin DeLahey Hardy adds, no wonder women yearn to be super thin when they never see how ugly super thin can be, right? And then finally, look, I got in some heat, not trouble because I don't really care, when we talked about the fashion industry before, and I said somebody was so thin that it looked unhealthy, and people jumped down my, how could you say that? How could you say that? That's just her natural state. That's just how she is. She eats like crazy, and she happens to be super thin, and I can't believe you're saying she's unattractive, and that's the kind of women they're looking for. Okay, so let me quote Lisa Wade in this case. This isn't then about shaming naturally thin women, she explains. It's about calling out an industry that requires women to be unhealthy and then hides the harmful consequences, and acknowledging that even people who are part of that industry don't necessarily have the power to change it, okay? Meaning, it's not that they're naturally skinny. Yes, one of them might be, right? A couple of them at most might be. But most of them are in an industry where they were given a tremendous amount of pressure to be super unhealthy and skinny in a way that is not attractive to the average male or anyone else. But they do that so like, oh, that looks so good on them. Oh my God. Oh, it hangs just like a coat rack. Then why don't you use a fucking coat rack, okay? And then they drive these women to dangerous conditions, and then they drive the audience and the whole society into a dangerous psychosis where they believe they have to lose all this weight and look terribly unnatural in a standard they can literally never meet.
I think the best thing that I'm seeing right now is the emergence of these campaigns that tell people to get healthy as opposed to get thin, right? Like you see these fit, gurus or whatever on Instagram, and I love it. You know, they talk about what they eat, and a lot of times it's like clean eating, whatever, and then they really emphasize muscle tone and having like a fit, built body as opposed to a very skinny body. And I like the fact that we're moving away from that model-esque image and focusing more on what it means to be healthy.
Yeah,
so
that's what I've been focusing on, you know. Not so much the thin thing, just a full body.
You know a lot about having a full body.
Oh, you know,
that was a needless dig.
Okay,
I apologize.
you know, I think you should, and I think you should throw some of Melissa Harris' tears in there for me.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm sorry. I would never want Jake to think that I don't appreciate his decent looks.
You're the worst. Okay, hey, first of all, you're fine. Second of all, no, seriously, Jared and I were talking about this before the show today. Fox News made fun of Melissa Harris Perry.
Oh, yeah.
The name of the segment was Crying Tears or something like Crying Game or something. Crying Times, thank you, which makes no sense, by the way. Should have been Crying Game, right? I mean, what's Crying Time? Trying Times? Like Trying Times, but maybe. If it was Times. Anyway, okay. And they're like, haha, she cried.
Yeah, they're not going to take your apology.
You think that your apology did you any good? That's why we've been criticizing you, right? Because your apology didn't help. They just took it like, haha, we won. We got her to bend, and we got to everybody to think, oh yeah, she's just as racist as we are.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, all right, next story.
Let's take a break.
Yes,
when we come
correct.
back, we will talk about a satanic monument.